mindset coach makes $500,000 in a single launch with a 16 times return on ad spend. But his first launch barely converted, and most people would have called it a complete failure. What happened in the 14 months between that failed launch and the $500,000 breakthrough is exactly what I'll reveal today, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the Launch Lounge podcast. I love being here with you and thank you for listening. I want to give a huge shout out to Amanda Carthy. Amanda sent me a beautiful photo of herself walking in Buckinghamshire in the forests, which I just imagine that maybe Robin Hood is going to come jumping out of the woods there. She sent me a beautiful email saying, I listened to your podcast and while walking the dogs in the woods. I live in Buckinghamshire, an hour from London, which you all know. I love London. I'm loving... She says, she doesn't say, I love London. I say that. She says, I'm loving the podcast. I'm listening to the Trust Recession episode now. Thank you for motivating me to get back on with the plan for my next launch. And I have shared the photo of Amanda in Buckinghamshire listening to the podcast on Instagram, on my stories. And I save all of those listener photos on my stories. I have one of those favorites bits, you know, where you like kind of make collections of stories. I have one of those for listener photos. So please send me a photo of where you're listening. I love, I literally, when I hit record here, I try to imagine wherever you are. I know some of you are walking in Regent's Park in London. I know some of you are running in Denver, in the hills there. And it just makes me feel so happy when I know my little corner of Brisbane, Australia, and your little corner of wherever can connect a little bit and we can see each other's worlds because, this is audio. So we've got to see where we're hanging out. I would love to see that. So tag me in Instagram or send me an email, podcast@thelaunchlOunge.com, and show me where you're listening. I would love that. And then also remember to keep me in your prayers tomorrow if you're listening on the day that we release this episode. This episode's coming out on September the 11th. Keep me in your prayers on Friday because I am swimming 10 kilometers. 100 100s is what we call it. And this is the 4th year that I'm doing it. And every year I think, what have I lost my mind? But you know what? As soon as I get in that pool, I go, the hardest bit was just managing my brain in the lead up to it. And so then, the next time I launch a webinar or a new offer or something new and big and out of my comfort zone, I have that swimming to draw on and I can remind myself that I can do hard things and I don't have to do them spectacularly well. To the level of perfectionism that I subscribe to or sometimes don't subscribe to, depends on what mood my ADHD's in. And then I'm going I go, okay, no, I can do this webinar or I can do this launch or I can do this new thing that is seems daunting because I have swum 100 100s. And so I have evidence lined up that I can do it. All right. Now, you know that feeling when you discover something that changes literally everything for you in your business, that aha moment, like when you finally understand why something seemed so hard for so long and then suddenly it becomes crystal clear. For me, that was social media. It just always seemed so very hard. And then I discovered that I should just emotionally detach myself from the outcome and suddenly it's easy. That's exactly what happened to one of our clients. And by the end of today's episode, you're going to feel that same shift happening for you. I want you to imagine for a moment what it would feel like waking up in the morning after a launch, after your launch cart has closed, and you see numbers that literally make you gasp out loud, numbers that make you cry. Now, there is no greater joy for me than sharing those moments with students, with clients, when they finally hit those numbers that are life-changing. And I am so privileged and so lucky that I've had that experience enough times that it's kind of like, yeah, this is not a fluke. It happens often. It truly is life-changing for a lot of people. The kind of numbers that makes you call your partner or your best friend or maybe your mom or someone who's been in your corner for a long time because you can barely believe that what you're seeing, right? Today I'm taking you behind the scenes of a launch that generated $501,395 with a 16x return on ad spend. But here's what I love most about this story. It didn't start with overnight success. It started exactly where you might be right now, or where you were 6 months ago, or where you're going to be 6 months from now. You're going to discover the exact two-phase strategy that transformed this struggling 10K launch into a $500,000 breakthrough. And you'll learn why the first launch that failed, in inverted commas, was actually the foundation for everything that came after that. I'm going to walk you through the roadmap that you can adopt for your own course, your own audience, and for building your own freedom empire. But most importantly, you're going to feel something shift inside you as you realize that the gap between where you are now and where you want to be isn't necessarily as wide as you think. It's not about having some special talent or secret knowledge or access to some guru. It's about understanding a framework that works and then having the courage to trust the process and put in the work, even when it feels uncomfortable. Because if I've learned anything after 7 years of watching course creators transform their businesses, it's that the moment you stop seeing your launches as make or break events that have any kind of authority over your self-esteem or your feelings, that's when you start to see them as valuable data collection. And then your next breakthrough is just around the corner. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let me tell you a story of Alex, who went from feeling like the world's best kept secret in his niche to having a systematized, scalable launch strategy that works like clockwork. Because when you hear how this unfolded, you're going to see your own possibilities in a completely new light. So let's dive in. Alex, who, as I've told you before in these case studies, is not his real name. I changed the names, but the data is the same and the strategy is the same. Because if I don't depersonalize this, then I can't share this level of detail with you, right? So let's explore where Alex started and maybe why his beginning sounds so familiar. He was doing what every course creator does, relying completely on warm, organic audiences. Now, don't get me wrong. I have respect for anyone who can build a large organic audience. It is hard work. But posting to the same followers, emailing the same subscribers, and hoping someone new magically appears is not going to work on the long term. The organic algorithms started failing them. They couldn't build their list fast enough to get new leads in between launches. So when they did their live launches, their numbers told the whole story. Webinar show-up rates dropped to below 15%. Now, before COVID, we used to say 25% show-up rate is kind of good. Post-COVID, it has come down a little bit. It is harder to keep people's attention these days and to get them to show up. But some people, I have a client who has a 40% webinar show-up rate. So it is kind of dependent on your niche, dependent on how good you are at understanding the pain of your ideal customer and how hot your offer for your webinar is, right? But when a webinar show-up rates drop below 15%, we have a little bit of a problem there. We need to fix something. The overall conversion of their leads to sales at this point, so what I mean when I say the overall conversion of leads to sales is the conversion rate of those people who signed up for the launch, so the launch list, to number of people who bought was 1.36%. That's kind of low. We want that to be around the 4 or 5 mark. We realized he was stuck talking to the same people over and over, and there wasn't any real data to pick at to work out what was going on because everything was just so small. And I wonder if you can see some of your own results in that, because if you can, then today's episode is definitely going to be a game changer for you. So let's look at the different phases of what we did with Alex's ads and how we warmed people up. So phase number 1 of what we did was what we call the please don't blow our budget phase. and you know, there's so many people that come to me and they're like, I don't know how much to budget. How much should I budget? And I tend to be a little bit conservative at first until I have proof that it works. So I don't like blowing people's budgets and I don't like throwing spaghetti on the wall. I just don't think anybody has to waste money on ads. So when he first came to us, I was honestly a bit nervous. I've seen too many course creators blow their entire budget on fancy funnels because they see some guru do something fancy and they want to copy that. And so we just started really simply. We started really simple. Number 1, we ran engagement ads. Now, I don't have to tell you anything more about engagement ads. You know all about engagement ads if you've been hanging out with me. We trained Facebook and Instagram's algorithm to find Alex's people online using engagement ads. There's a $5 a day ads that we run using existing high engagement content from his social media. The second part of what we did here was list building. Of course, list building. What we did in this phase was this is the original, this is the prior to the 14-month gap. We ran some list building ads to a 3-part video series, very much the same as Jennifer's launch that I told you about on Tuesday. So if you didn't listen to Tuesday's episode, maybe go back and listen to that one. List building 3-part video series, classic Jeff Walker style, right? Ran ads to that. We got 465 leads at $4.79 each. Now, you might be listening to that and thinking, holy crap, that is a lot of money for a lead. And yes, that $4.79 is on the higher end of what you would be paying for a lead. It's not the highest, but this is a coach. And anytime you are in a niche where you teach people business stuff or you help people build businesses, then your leads are more expensive. The more you lean towards lifestyle, arts and crafts, the cheaper it's going to be. The more your niche is in business, making money, marketing, the more expensive your leads are going to be. So we ran those ads, 3-part video series, got 465 leads at $4.79. And then we ran ads for his webinar. So what he did was he did the 3-part video series and then he followed that up with a webinar. And because we had decided to spend most of his budget on list building, during his launch, we only targeted his warm audience with his webinar because his webinar is so far down the funnel. We don't want strangers showing up there. We just want these people who have already watched the videos, who've already gone through the 3-part video training, right? So we got 300 registrants for that webinar. And here's the interesting part. Alex converted 1.36% overall, which looks terrible. And look, I would love that number to be higher, but 10% of the webinar attendees bought the course and his price point was over $2,000. So that ended up being a really okay launch, but the numbers wasn't exactly blow your hair back results that he was looking for, right? We knew there's some optimization that can happen here. We knew once these people go through this process and they come to the webinar, then they buy. But getting people to show up for the webinar was hard and getting them to engage with the video series was hard. So we could see that the offer was solid and the webinar converted really well. But the real problem was the webinar show up rate. We knew that if we could get the leads and we can get them to show up for the webinar, they will convert better. But not enough of them showed up, right? It was time to rethink this launch mechanism. and find a better way to build Alex's list with ads and to get enough people to opt in and show up for the launch mechanism. And then we knew he would make good money. So we saw potential and we had some data, and that led to phase 2 of our work. So remember, phase 1 is the please don't blow my ad budget out of the water. Hey friends, quick break from the episode because I've got something really exciting to share with you. In September, the Launch Lounge agency is opening up just 2 spots for course creators who are ready to scale. Now here's the cool part. We don't just run the ads for you, we actually become your growth partner. That means looking at your entire marketing strategy and helping you connect the dots. And we've built some really powerful AI tools that make your copy stronger, your webinars more engaging, and your sales process smoother, so you can get more conversions without extra stress. The best part? Our clients are finally getting off the launch roller coaster, seeing consistent sales come in, and more importantly, they're getting their time back. So if you're making at least 6 figures a year, you've got an offer your audience loves, and you're serious about scaling, I'd love for you to apply. Just head over to thelaunchlounge.com/agency. But don't wait because these 2 spots will go fast. All right, now let's get back to the episode. So this leads me to phase 2 of this story. And there is a 14-month gap between phase 1 and phase 2. So Alex took 14 months. He walked away from us for a little bit, took a break, and went and did some work and tested some different launch mechanisms on his warm audiences. And then 14 months later, he came back. So he took 14 months to optimize everything. And I know that's not the 30 days to 6 figures story that sells well on social media, but I want you to hear the truth. It is worth the wait. It is worth the testing. It is worth putting in the work to do it again and 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 again until you have grown and grown and grown. We have this expectation that it's going to rain on us one day, and sometimes it does. And then people share it in Facebook groups where we hang out and we go, why isn't this happening for me? But 99% of the time, it is just slow, incremental changes that gets you there. Remember that, please. So during those 14 months, Alex was refining their messaging based on the data we collected from their launch, testing different lead magnets to see how we could use lead magnets to better warm up and prime his audience before the next launch. And he was building systems so that he could start bringing on more team members as he was growing. He was also getting comfortable with bigger ad budgets. There's just no way you can ever make $1 million in a launch if you're not willing to spend $100,000 on ads. And that can be, again, an incremental growth. But I promise you, it's like you're going to need $100K on a launch for $1 million launch at least, right? So wrap your head around that. Sometimes I see our clients like literally turn green when I tell them what I want to spend. And I get it. It's scary. But if we have the data, we have the experience, then we know what to do, right? That's why I harp on about data so much. The simple truth is, if you want to scale, you need to spend more on ads. But you can only do that confidently when you know your funnel works. Which brings me to the next phase, the breakthrough, the moment when everything clicked, right? 14 months later, Alex came back, ready to go big. And instead of having one simple funnel, we built what I called like the lead magnet stack. This was one of the most complicated funnels we ran in a long time. He created a quiz called What's Blocking Your Potential? And we ran ads to the quiz, got 1,435 leads at $3.49, so cheaper than the original lead magnet. The quiz helped segment his audience into those that are perfect for his course, those that need a little bit more attention before they'll be perfect, and those that are not ready to go into his launch at all. So he already, even before he started promoting the course, already knew he had a good, healthy section of his email list that was hungry for what he was going to sell. He added a tripwire offer to that thank you page. Tripwire is the old word for tiny offer or mini offer or low dollar offer. We used to call them tripwires. They've been around for 100 years. And then someone made the word tiny offer or low dollar offer famous, but tripwire is the original name. So, something on the thank you page that's a low dollar offer that you can offer your leads to offset that ad cost so that you get some money back when you're paying for leads from ads, but also so that you already have people on your list that have taken that first step and bought that first thing, which means they're more likely to invest more. So this basically halved the cost of list building prior to the launch. Next thing we did was we invited the leads that were right for the launch, along with a lot of cold leads, to a week-long challenge. So this is a bit different than the passive 3-part video series where they just view something. In this week-long challenge, we use exactly the same framework, right? So it's the same framework you use when you create your 3-part video, 4-part video launch content. It's basically the same framework you use when you create a webinar, but this time it is spread over a week and you're doing it live. You're delivering it live to your audience. So we ran some ads to this challenge. And we got 7,119 leads at $3.06 each. And the challenge really gave the leads access to Alex with his teaching for a period of 10 days. Now, look, I think the guy was exhausted, right? I don't think I could ever do a 10-day live challenge. It's just not what I think sounds fun. But he worked really hard. He did it and he created it once and he delivered it over and over. So for 10 days, people were consuming his content, building a relationship with him and that very valuable know, like, and trust factor. And then we re-invited them to the webinar. So there was still a webinar at the end of this challenge. By the time they came to the webinar, they weren't strangers. They were raving fans, right? So think about this for a moment. 7,000 people spent 10 days already getting results, already making shifts, already transforming their scenarios, situation, whatever, before he made a single pitch. So the webinar wasn't about proving credibility anymore. It was literally just showing them how they can get more results. And the final numbers are going to blow your mind. Here are the numbers that changed everything for Alex. He started with a lead magnet, a webinar, and a sales page. That's where he started. Then he went to a quiz that segmented his audience, an upsell that turned leads into buyers prior to the launch, a 10-day challenge that helped people see results and connect deeply with him, and then a webinar where he pitched his program to it. It's a complex funnel, but listen to this. Total revenue, $501,395. Return on ad spend, 16. So for every dollar Alex spent on ads, he got back over $16. That is not good. That is absolutely insane. It is so good. But here's what excites me even more than the money. This became a repeatable system. He went from struggling with warm audience launches to having a scalable funnel they could run over and over and over. And they increased their ad spend by 6 because they knew it would work. When you have the data, you have the historical proof that what you're doing works, then scaling stops being scary and it just becomes simple math. Now, as you're sitting there wondering which part of this is right for you to implement, I want you to know this. This strategy works across every industry. It is a simple 5-step process anyone can implement. So let me break down those 5 steps for you. Step number 1, build an audience of warm people that you can retarget and that engages with your content using engagement ads. Number 2, test multiple lead magnets. Different lead magnets attract different segments of your audience. Target each of the different lead magnets you test to the different pain points that they have. Right? That's number 2. Number 3, use tripwires. Use those low dollar sales. Make your list building pay for itself and turn those leads into first-time buyers within the first 5 minutes of meeting you. Number 4, nurture first, pitch second. That challenge that Alex hosted nurtured his leads at the most incredible level. So let your content do the selling for you. Build a system, follow a system, whether it's Jeff Walker's PLF or Amy Porterfield's system or James Wedmore's system or whoever you follow. That teaches it could be Alex Hormozi or I love Frank Kern stuff. Honestly, I love his content. Whoever's selling system you use, they're all based on the same principles, right? They're just different flavors. Each one gives it different flavors. But whoever system you follow, please have a system in place for selling from that launch event. It absolutely blows me away when I work with people who make healthy money. They make good money because they have good, big audiences. And when I watch their launch content, there's absolutely no pitch. There's absolutely no, there's no sales journey. And it simply is because that's not a skill that they learned. And it got them this far. It can get you to couple of 6 figures. It can get you to like $200,000 with the right price point and the right product and the right niche. But it's not going to get you to $1 million. You've got to learn the art of selling. And number 5, scale based on data. Not on gut feelings, not on hope, not on we don't know what works, but we just keep doing the same thing. Scale based on data. The tactics change a little bit, but the framework stays the same. Right? How you apply this stays the same. So here is what I want you to remember. Alex didn't have anything you don't also have access to. Everything you need to start warming up your audience is here in this podcast or already inside you. Your course has already proven that it changes lives. But if you're keeping it a secret because you're scared of paid traffic, or you're stuck talking to the same people over and over, you're doing a disservice to everyone who needs your help. And 6 months from now, you could be planning your own 6-figure launch with systems that work while you sleep. The difference between where you are and where Alex ended up isn't talent or luck. It is strategy and persistence and hiring the right people to help you. And you know what I love most about Alex's story is it proves that breakthrough moments aren't reserved for a special group of entrepreneurs who have it all figured out. They're available to anyone who's willing to see their current results as simply the starting point for something extraordinary. Right now, as you're listening to this, there are people out there who need exactly what you have to teach. They're struggling with the very problem your course solves. They're searching for someone who understands their journey and someone who can guide them to their transformation. And that someone is you. You don't need to be the best kept secret in your industry. I know your expertise isn't an accident. You earned it the hard way. That's your gift to the world. And when you combine that gift with the right strategy, with the right support, with the right persistence, there's literally no limit to the impact you can create. I want you to just close your eyes for a second and picture your own breakthrough launch. See those numbers on your screen. Feel that rush of excitement as you realize you've just hit your revenue goals. But also, as you see, you've created something that can scale and grow and serve people for years to come. Feel the confidence that comes from knowing that your funnel works, your message resonates, and that your freedom empire is no longer a dream. It's a reality within your reach. Join me again this Tuesday, September the 16th, when we're going to share with you 5 ways to 10x your sales in your next launch. You don't want to miss this one, especially if you're launching September, October, November, and you want this launch to be the biggest launch to date. Also, remember that between now and the end of October, we're focusing solely on Facebook and Instagram ads here on the Launch Lounge podcast. So send me your questions. Send me your queries and your conundrums. Email them to me at podcast@thelaunchlounge so that I can make sure that I answer all of your burning questions first. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye. If you're loving what we're covering today, I've got something special for you. Right now, and for a limited time, I'm creating exclusive bonus content for every single episode that goes way deeper than what we can cover here on the show. Think actionable worksheets, behind-the-scenes insights, and the tools I actually use to get these results. It's completely free, but it's only available to my email subscribers. If you want to get more actionable help and dive even deeper with me, the only way to get it is to sign up. Head to thelaunchlounge.com/podcast-freebie right now to grab today's bonus content and never miss future episodes' exclusive materials.